Good to go. Okay. Hello, everyone. First of all, my name is Chris Wong, and I am the chairman and CEO of LifeSite. But before I get rolling over the next 20 minutes, what I'd first like to do is I'd like to thank the Mountain View Chamber of Commerce and specifically Leslie King for the invitation to be on today and share our story. And for us, our story is appropriately named Innovation, Why the Stakes Are Highest. And I'd like to start by saying that as a tech company based in Mountain View specifically, as was the case with many of you folks out there, traditional market froze like many companies at the beginning of the pandemic. So, like many of you and many of your companies, our team really had no choice but to be creative, uh, work harder and figure out on not only how to survive, but what is it that we could do to help out during the pandemic. As a matter of background, our company LifeSite, right, was basically created 5 years ago. So we were a company that's been around for close to 6 years now. But we were created as a digital vaulting solution for individuals to work with their family members, to work with their trusted advisors being their doctors, their lawyers, their financial advisors to help secure and manage and organize basically all of your life information and to share it and make it discoverable. So for us, adaptation, emphasis, and addressing kind of critical need at that time for safety as a result of COVID-19, which is what we ended up doing, was born out of urgency and necessity. So really what our story is that when the pandemic started, roughly about a year and a half ago, the emphasis on safety, as we all saw, was rightfully placed on individuals along with their families trying to get tested. So at that time, everybody was trying to find testing, everybody was trying to figure out how not to wait in line for the longest amount of time, so on and so forth. But for us, also at that time, fortunately for me, I was also an advisor to a company, happened to be a testing company in Menlo Park called Avellino Labs. And at that time, Avellino Labs themselves was a company that was doing genetic eye testing. And they as well, out of necessity, shifted their entire testing process over to COVID. So while both of us were in the situation where we were trying to figure out how to survive and how to help during the pandemic, right, and what we can do as a team, right, it was not hard to pick up on the fact that at that time also multiple businesses, whether you were a restaurant, whether you were a tech company, right, whether didn't matter what business you were on, everybody was challenged to effectively stay open. And at that time, right, the key to staying open was trying to figure out how to get your employees tested, also try to figure out how to control outbreaks, and then also there was that human need, right, to support employees and their families, really doing whatever as a corporation you could do, right, to remain open. And certainly I think that was a very, very challenging time, right, for businesses and us as business leaders. So kind of during that time, specifically around April-ish, we decided to partner with Avellino Labs, who at that time also rushed to get an FDA EUA certification for this new COVID test, which they had created. And they were one of the first ones to get it. I think they were actually number 4. And they actually were able to get their FDA EUA certification within 30 days. So given that we were an advisor, right, to their company, and we had our digital vaulting technology, we came to the idea that we could create and pivot, right, to a solution where we could take our technology, our employee technology, and then marry it with the Avellino tests and the Avellino test results, and pivot to a solution that was basically in need by companies at that time. And that's how LifeSite Wellness itself was born. So I've got a few slides here. Let me scroll through here. So, for us as companies face the challenges, right, not only to stay open, manage outbreaks, find testing, and all that sort of stuff, right, ourselves, LifeSite and our team answered the call. So for us, what we ended up doing was we ended up building a full turnkey solution. So when we mean a full turnkey solution, we created a turnkey solution where we were able to bring testing specifically to companies. So for us, it was going to essential businesses, and many of the essential businesses were in Mountain View or in Santa Clara County. And what we did with them was that they were able to contact us. We were able to line up a network of ordering physicians. We were able to order tests for them. In this case, it was the Avellino test, and then provide those tests to them, as many as they wanted, essentially for quote unquote free. And what we meant by free, and we still do this today, is that we basically built the process or bridge to private insurance for individuals, as well as we built the bridge to the FFCRA CARES Act, which was a big government bucket of money where they would pay for testing for anybody who required a test. And in this particular case, right, we took this entire program and brought it to corporations. So, to date, right, when you look at that program, and we're still delivering it today, between us and Avellino, we have delivered roughly 2 million plus tests and test results. We worked with thousands of companies, organizations, and teams together. And then probably the most rewarding thing for us is that we've got some fantastic stories around saving companies, keeping companies open, saving jobs, and even in some cases, saving lives. So, as a leader, right, and part of the team at LifeSite, right, I mean, I certainly and personally couldn't be more proud of our team and, our ability to kind of react and swing into action on this one. But, what is it that we're doing today, right, as things evolve? Now, our perspective is that with, the nation reopening, traveling resuming, events now being scheduled and people attending events, and then schools being open now for the fall, employers, event organizers, venues, so on and so forth, are all now frantically trying to address, continue to address the health and safety requirements of employees going back to the office, or attendees attending events, or guests, right, entering campuses, and trying to figure out how to do that safely. So for us, right, once again, we're responding to current needs. We have evolved our solution where we are now incorporating vaccinations and vaccination tracking to essentially provide a secure data hub for not only COVID test results, which we traditionally have done, but also vaccination statuses and records. So as a company, if you're trying to bring your employees back to work, or as attendance ramps up, or schools fully open, right, what we do is that, we're basically trying to address the scalability of going through a health verification for distributed employees, or going through health verifications for people that you just don't know, like an attendee for an event, right, and dealing with the scalability and challenges of a tracking process. So for us, our LifeSite Wellness application has evolved, right, into this centralized command center, which you see here, where we're doing health verifications, tracking, and then we're also doing credentialing, helping these facilities, businesses, so on and so forth, right, evolve as the health and safety standards evolve, so that they can optimize entry, office occupancy, right, and comply with a lot of the, a lot of the regulations that are coming out, right, around vaccine tracking, or requiring negative PCR tests for health verifications. So this is just, gives you an idea of what, our system looks like. It's fully HIPAA compliant. So we've always managed the consent process, right, with testing. So we've just extended the consent management process to vaccine tracking. We're continually challenged, as you are, right, to kind of stay up to date on the latest regulations, whether it's OSHA, county, state, or even federal. And then we continue to add based on customer feedback, such as integrating this, right, to ticketing systems, integrating this to travel kiosk, or integrating this to badging systems that a lot of the offices now have in place. So this just gives you an idea of how our system looks. And then additionally, right, we've got the ability, because we've gotten feedback that it's really hard if you've got employees who are now spread out across the United States, who you need to do vaccine tracking for. So in our particular case, right, we have the ability for employees, employers, or guests to basically self-report their status, a test, excuse me, a health verification, right, from like an Excelsior Pass or California vaccine tracker. And that goes into the dashboard, and then employers basically have real-time updates on the statuses of all the people that they have to, provide health and safety protocols for. This is one last slide here, where it basically we're also finding that companies like to have rules. So what's nice about the solution we built is that we have the ability, right, that you can establish a rule per event. So for certain events, you may want full vaccination. For certain events, a vaccination or a negative test, right, may be available. So this just gives you an example of some of the work that we're doing on behalf of the customers and what some of our customers are using. So, in essence, and here's an example of a health verification. So in essence, right, this fall, what we would tell you, sorry about that, is that, this fall, if health verifications or vaccine tracking is required, right, to ensure safety, for you or your company for going back to the office, attending a class, maybe going on campus, because we see this as a requirement, right, for for a lot of the UCs in our area, right? Hopefully, right, you can thank us and our team. I mean, we are all seeing that the world is reopening, and certainly, our team and our customers are doing whatever we can to assist. So, with that, what I'd like to do is thank everyone for listening to our story. And honestly, if we can help you or your companies, right, feel free to contact me personally. And with the time I have remaining, we'd be very happy to take some questions and entertain a conversation. Kira, are you on the line? Hello? Where we had a chance to listen to the presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions. So I don't know how to take the questions, whether they come in through chat or they come in live. It's probably worth noting, right? I'll just kind of riff, and maybe people can have room for thought. Is that I think what's a continued challenge for us as a tech company is that I think the trend for us is that we have shifted from corporate testing, though we would tell you in the last recent weeks, right, based on this pretty aggressive variant that's out there, is that we are now getting back to more corporate testing. It's not to the point where it was back in November or December timeframe, but certainly, right, we see companies, right, hedging, right, and wanting to go back to doing some testing. Now, I think what's different, right, with the companies that we're working with across the United States is that most of the companies now are building a testing strategy around tracking vaccinations first, and then understanding, right, what their kind of what their situation is as a company regarding vaccines. And then for those who certainly aren't vaccinated or those who are are showing symptoms, they're asking them to test. So we're seeing that as a trend across the United States. And then, as you would guess, right, it does vary state to state. And as it relates to state, right, certain states, right, aren't as vaccinated as other states. So for those states, they're having to rethink some of their strategy in light of everybody kind of most of the economies opening back up and offices opening back up and stuff like that. So we can continue to see, right, evolution. We can continue to see adaptation, and at the end of the day, right, it's our role and our position, right, to help companies, right, deal with their own health and safety strategies. A couple other things that we're running into is that many of the companies, particularly smaller teams, are trying to tackle this whole vaccination tracking requirement with just using email and using Excel spreadsheets. And while that's kind of fine from a functional perspective, as you grow larger, or if you're subject to more compliance, then what you're going to find out is that technically speaking, that's in violation of HIPAA and some of the compliance issues. So some of the things that we've learned and have seen with companies is that if you decide that you are going to be capturing specifically health information such as a vaccination card, you need to be careful in that the system where you store the vaccination card needs to be separate from your corporate HR system by rule. So you can't have it, for instance, in your the same system where you have your employees. You have to have it in a separate system. And then, given that this is considered protected health information, a vaccination card or a picture of it, you are subject, right, to to certain regulations around maintaining that information into the system, right, for for X amount of years. Okay, so we've got a couple questions coming in. So one question from the audience was, do you seek access as a monthly subscription? So the answer is yes. The reason why we do a monthly subscription is we wanted to make it as flexible as possible, because we do understand that strategies are changing on a regular basis. So our solution is priced on a monthly basis, and then the price ranges anywhere from less than $1 per person that you need to manage per month, right, to minimum fee of a deployment of $250 a month for the smaller size teams. We've got another question from the audience, which is any info or international cooperation or verifications of a vaccine passport? I mean, it's a great question, and our response to that is that this whole notion of a vaccine passport, in our mind, a vaccine passport is some sort of official document which is regulated, certified, and vouched for, right, by some sort of government agency, whether it's a state, a county, or even the feds. But what we're finding in reality is that this whole notion of a vaccine passport, we'd rather use the term a health credential. And the reason why is because where it becomes really important is it becomes important in a private context. And what we mean by a private context is that if you're a company and you require some sort of health verification, whether it's a vaccine passport or not, right, it's up to you to decide how you want to use it, what's required, and in what way you want to use it for health and safety. So the bottom line is that we are working with certain countries. Like we've got one East Coast country who would like us to provide a vaccine passport, but for the most part, right, we're staying out of delivering the specific vaccine passport, but then helping companies figure out how to digest the vaccine passport or how to do their own version of a health certification, aka vaccine passport, for private industries. Kira, any additional questions? I think we're good then. Okay, if if there's no additional questions, right? I just like to remind you that if you are interested or have a question for me directly, feel free to reach out. My email is chris@lifesite.co. If you are interested in learning more about our solution or how we could possibly help your company, please reach out as well. So it's chris@lifesite.co. And our website is www.lifesite.co. So thanks again for your time, and look forward to connecting with you if we can help. Thank you very much.